Get pause YouTube, 6fthax here. Have for you guys today a pretty interesting battle against GameNBerry. Her channel link and stuff will be down in the description. Now, if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer that like button down below and to answer the question of the day, which is a pretty interesting question of the day because this is one of those questions that can affect future uploads depending on what you guys have to say about it. So I would really appreciate it if you guys could go ahead and answer that in the comment section below. Now, if you can't tell from the team preview, this was supposed to be kind of an RU battle, but she ended up bringing some like lesser used mons, and like I said, this was an interesting battle because this is one of those games where I'm thinking, okay, this shouldn't be a tough matchup, right? Like I can go into this and win pretty easily, but there's a lot of twists and turns in this battle, and yeah, it ended up being really interesting, pretty fun nonetheless. But she ends up leading off with the Armaldo, as I'm gonna lead off with my modest Gudra. I'm gonna go straight for the Fire Blast just because I don't know if Armaldo's like assault vested. It could be Spadef, Rain Dance, like Swift Swim, SD. I don't know. I have no idea what the hell an Armaldo does because it's an Armaldo. So I'm able to get off a pretty good amount of damage with the Fire Blast. I can then easily go for a Draco Meteor, which is pretty nice because she has absolutely zero switch-ins to a modest Draco as she tries to bring in the Donphan on another potential Fire Blast. Maybe I'm gonna be able to just nuke it. Don't quite knock it out, but even if it lived, it still would have lived on sturdy is what I'm trying to say, so I wouldn't have knocked it out anyways, as she's then just gonna Ice Shard me here. I was pretty positive she would just fodder off the Donphan just because there's literally nothing else that it can do in this matchup. So down goes the Donphan, as in comes the Meowstic. I don't know what Meowstic does. I'm pretty sure that the male version gets Prankster, so expecting a Thunder Wave, I switched directly into my Jolteon, which is kind of funny because my Jolteon is named Juliet and the Meowstic is named Romeo, as she actually ends up going for the Light Screen. This is fine. I can definitely just stay in here and go for the Shadow Ball to either get off some damage on the Meowstic, see what she wants to do, or if she wants to switch out, I get off damage on whatever comes in and I waste a turn of the Light Screen, which a Light Screen is actually super annoying in this battle. So as she brings in the Armaldo, I am then going to be able to go for the Volt Switch, knowing that I can't do anything to this thing behind Light Screen. Obviously, I don't want to take a Stone Edge, possible X's, or maybe an Earthquake, so I switch directly into my Donphan here, as she does end up going for the Earthquake, which still does a pretty good amount of damage. I hate Donphan. I really don't like Donphan. I'm not a fan at all. I say this all the time, and yet here I'm using it because it fits all the roles I needed to do. It's a physical wall, has spin, has rocks, and has some nice utility with knockoff, as I'm going to be able to knock off her lefties here, so she won't be able to recover back any more HP, as she ends up going for a knockoff of her own. This is actually really good for me because now this Armaldo is in range of where it can get knocked out by rocks, and because my Donphan is faster, I'm actually going to go ahead and just get on my Stealth Rocks, as she ends up switching into her Spinda. I literally have no idea what a Spinda does. I know they learned some confusing move, so I stay in here and I go for the knockoff, thinking that she would go for the Teeter Dance. Yeah, that's what it's called. I thought she would go for Teeter Dance, but she ends up going for the Trick. Tricks me a Choice Band, which allows me to do a solid 50% to the Spinda, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and switch out here, thinking that she can't really do anything to my Klefki. The good thing about this is that with Armaldo being weakened and her Donphan being gone, I can just start hazard stacking, which is what I'm going to try and do. Hopefully get up Alara Spikes this following turn, as the Spinda I still think can't do anything to me anyways, as she actually ends up switching out into her Aurorus, and Aurorus is actually a really cool Pokemon. This is one Pokemon I definitely want to use in NU when that tier gets settled out in the next couple of weeks or so, if I'm not mistaken. So I am able to get up Alara Spikes. Unfortunately, I don't have the Flash Cannon, and I don't think that Klefki can learn Iron Head or Smart Strike, so I'm gonna stay in here trying to T-Wave this Aurorus, thinking that she would predict my switch in the Snorlax, because obviously I can safely bring in Snorlax on Aurorus. No, she does end up going straight for the Earth Power. I don't know if that's Specs damage, but I'm guessing that's Specs damage because it did do a lot of damage. I don't remember the Spadef EVs on this Klefki, but I typically run Spadef Klefki, so I'm pretty sure that was Specs damage coming from this Aurorus. Plus, she's not switching up moves. Then again, Earth Power is her hardest hitting move to hit my Klefki, as I'm able to finally paralyze this damn Aurorus. I could have maybe switched out to save Klefki, but then there was also the chance he could have predicted my switch out and switch up moves, so yeah, it's fine, not that big of a deal, as I can bring in my Donphan, make a bit of a dumb play here. I didn't really fully think out this play. I think I forgot that I was actually locked into Earthquake because she had tricked me choice band. So what I should have done was probably just gone for the knockoff. I didn't bring in Snorlax because I don't have any move to hit Auroras with that can hit her for super effective damage. So she ends up getting basically a free switch into Sigilyph. This is fine though, because I should be able to get a free switch into my Jolteon, as she turns out to have the Flame Orb, which has me thinking she is most likely just like the Timid max speed set with max HP and Psycho Shift and Calm Mind. I just need to find out what her offensive move is, or there's a chance that she doesn't even have Psycho Shift, because I have seen Flame Orb non-Psycho Shift Sigilyph before. I was about to say Swagilyph, but I've seen Sigilyph that run that before. So I'm able to knock something out there, I think, as she ends up bringing in the Meowstic here. I almost said Auroras, I don't know why, as she's going to be able to just safely go for the Shadow Ball. No, Light Screen, as I go for Shadow Ball. I have no idea what is going on. Like, I completely drew a blank there. I'm sorry, guys, but back to the battle. As she switches out here into Auroras, this is fine. Like, just getting off chip damage on this is really good because it puts it closer into range of where my Snorlax can beat it easier 1v1, as I'm going to be able to Shadow Ball. I do get a little lucky here, and I get a Spadef drop. This Spadef drop honestly doesn't matter, because even after this Volt Switch damage, Auroras would have been in range of where it's going to get knocked out by rocks and spikes. So I Volt Switch on out into my Goodra, trying to fodder it off, really hoping that she would go for the Ice Beam to knock me out. Then this way I could bring in my Honchkrow and get the Moxie boost. I guess in hindsight, what I also could have done was switched into my Donphan here and maybe sacked that off, or switched it in on an attack, then sacked it off the following turn, or switched into my Goodra, sorry, and then sacked that off and saved Donphan to maybe sack off again later in the match. I don't know. Doesn't really matter though. Would have been pretty cool to bring in Honchkrow here and get the Moxie boost though, as she decides to just fodder off the Armaldo. Armaldo switching in there doesn't really change anything. Like, she could have saved it for later in this matchup, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. As in comes a Sigilyph. Again, I'm pretty sure she's going to go for the Calm Mind, so I have to make this aggressive switch directly into my Jolteon. I believe I am Magnet or Expert Belt Jolteon, so because I'm not Choice Specs, I unfortunately will not be able to quite 2A KO this Sigilyph, even though it is at +1 Spadef and behind Light Screen. She is then going to go for another Calm Mind, and this is looking very bad for me. I still don't know what offensive moves this Sigilyph has, so there's still a chance that she can definitely beat me with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and Bolt Switch into my Honchkrow, thinking, alright, she's probably just gonna go for Roost here because this is her best chance to go for it. So by bringing in my Honchkrow, I'm thinking I can probably just stay in here and spam Sucker Punch, as she's probably gonna Calm Mind or try and play around me having Sucker Punch. But no, she does unfortunately have the Psycho Shift, and I guess I should have seen this coming. Sucker Punch in there was kind of a questionable play on my part, especially because, as you're about to see this turn, I'm actually going to turn out to be faster than her, and I could have just gone straight for the Supersonic Sky Strike instead of going for the Sucker Punch, and I might have actually been able to knock out the Sigilyph. If not, then I definitely would have put it low enough to where I could have applied pressure and eventually knocked it out. So that would have been really awesome, but this Supersonic Sky Strike is with me being burned, and I still do a pretty solid like 35-40% to the Sigilyph. So yeah, if she didn't burn me there, obviously would have just nuked her, but I didn't know that I would be faster than her because she's actually more of a defensive Sigilyph instead of the speedy variant, which is really bad. But now I know that she can only have one offensive move, so depending on that one offensive move, I can either still win this battle, or she can very well make a comeback with the Sigilyph. And it turns out that she has the stored power, which is really bad, because she's able to 2A KO my Snorlax here. But the good thing about her having stored power is that she doesn't have any move to hit my Honchkrow with. Now, another problem comes from that. If it really came down to it, my Honchkrow could definitely stall her out and probably beat her 1v1, and then at that point we would probably go to timer, and that wouldn't be for a very good match. That would actually be kind of annoying. So I end up bringing in Jolteon here, hoping to maybe get a crit just to try and avoid that scenario with Honchkrow, but at this point my Donphan is too low, it can't do anything, and the last mon I have really can't do anything either, which I think is Gudra if I'm not mistaken. So I bring in Honchkrow here. I'm just gonna go for the substitute. I'm actually a sub-roost Honchkrow, which is actually really cool because this is kind of reminiscent of Honchkrow back in Black and White 2 RU, where this thing was an absolute monster, man. Sub-roost Honchkrow back in Black and White 2 RU was easily like top 3 biggest threats in the tier. So she's gonna end up going for the Reflect, as I just go for the Brave Bird. Didn't want to mess around with going for a Roost and her still maybe being able to have an offensive move that breaks my substitute. So I will be able to knock out the Meowstic after it gets up the Reflect, and at this point her last mon is going to be the Sigilyph, which thankfully she is not going to try to Calm Mind up and stall me out of moves. Plus I have, I think, like 14 or 15 more Brave Birds, so there is a chance I will eventually get a crit against the Sigilyph and knock it out and beat it 1v1. So yeah, just gonna knock it out here. No, I don't knock it out. Sorry, I'm just going to Brave Bird here, as there's really nothing she can do. Sorry if it's a little bit laggy here at the end. I'm not sure what happened there, but it should be fine because, yeah, there's nothing the Sigilyph can do to me. So Honchkrow here is going to be able to pull out the victory. I got really scared when Honchkrow got burned because I really thought that the Sigilyph was just about to win the matchup for her. Luckily, though, Honchkrow, a Don, putting the team on his back and is going to be able to pull out the victory here. So good game to Nici. Again, her channel link and stuff is down in the description. And of course, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to hammer that like button down below to answer the question of the day. Again, really interested to hear what you guys have to say about the question of the day. So if you may have missed my 2 uploads from yesterday, definitely go check those out. If not, then there are 2 videos on the end screen which you guys can go check out if you have seen them already. With all that being said, guys, I will see you tomorrow. So later, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Everybody, thank you all for watching.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.